Good morning. I know it's 8:01. That's probably Amanda's fault. Is that your fault, Amanda? That it's 8:01 and we're behind a minute? Is it because of you, Amanda, that we've been waiting for the last minute to go live? I'm just checking.
Oh no.
You know what, Sassy Pants? It's because of you sitting in here
All
giving
right,
instructions that I could have
8:02
given.
in the morning. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. I'm your host, BKP. Now, let me give you what's happening today. First of all, I have to be very careful this morning, Amanda, because we probably have a whole different audience tuned in today. I mean, we could as much as have the governor of Georgia tuned in. You just don't know. So I can't be offensive. I have, for the first hour, there's 2 hours of the show. For the first hour, it's the regular show. We're going to get into a lot of the information going on today out there in the world. But the second hour of this show, I will be moderating right here in the studio a debate between the two Republican primary candidates for Georgia House of Representatives District 8. The incumbent, Matthew Gertler, and his opponent, Mickey Cummings, will be here 9 to 10 o'clock. So tell your friends. So here's the thing, Amanda. Between now and then, I cannot be offensive. We may have new audience. I cannot say anything that would be considered, what would you say?
Can you handle it?
I don't see it coming.
You don't see it coming?
Well, let me ask you, let me give you a test. So, there was about 59 Palestinians that committed suicide yesterday. Was that insensitive?
Well, it's fact.
Hamas is a terrorist group, folks. Hamas is a terrorist group. Yesterday, we opened up the President Donald Trump. Today, 1948, today, Israel, congratulations on 70 years, 70 years being recognized by the United States of America as a nation. So congratulations. And yesterday marked the opening of our embassy in Jerusalem. But what really has the Hamas-Palestinian world on end to where, what do they do for used tires if they burn them all up? I mean, they keep bringing the tires to the border and starting these smoky fires, burning tires. Oh, gosh. I mean, that's got to stink, right? What? Why do you keep telling me to quit flailing my arms? You might as well cut them off.
I told you to be nice. We got a new audience.
Okay, so I can't flail my arms.
You can't scream at me. No.
So I'm in the middle of
I know
telling
it's going to be a rough day for you. It's just going to be rough.
Amanda, hush. Hush. Take the damn hush money, will you? Oh, my God. Anyhow, so, they pile all these tires up. That's got to be bad for their health. The smoke inhalation by burning rubber. I mean, Goodyear tires so anyhow, that being said, they rush the border. But folks, this is what happens when a terrorist organization, rushes the border. Just think of if we opened fire down on the southern border just for one day. I'm not supposed to be insensitive, but one day, just think if the people that attacked our border, other countries, it's not just Israel, other countries do not allow terrorist groups to attack their border. So yesterday, Palestinians, there's 40% unemployment in the Gaza Strip. 40%. They have nothing to do, Nothing at all. They're sitting there playing pinochle or whatever they do. I don't know what they do. 40% of them have no jobs. They have funneled billions of dollars of your money through international groups to build schools, supposedly, in the Gaza Strip. Nothing. Hamas has stole all the money. Iranian terrorist-backed Hamas. Bottom line. So Israel had a terrorist attack yesterday, no matter how the mainstream media wants to paint it. Every newspaper this morning, for the most part, have the Gaza Strip and have Palestinians with their famous bandanas around their face and piling tires up and the Palestinian flag, okay, and right underneath it, Ivanka and Jared Trump. And actually the MSNBC Negative News Network, Minka and Joe opened up this morning with what else? They opened up with how the Trumps do not care, okay? Trumps just don't care. They just sit and watch. No, we are opening up our embassy in Jerusalem. Now, I told you this yesterday, and we will move on from this because I'm not getting stuck on this. I told you this yesterday. It's not so much we moved our embassy to Jerusalem, which, yes, it's that we recognized when we unlocked those doors and said, look, Americans traveling abroad, our U.S. Embassy is in Jerusalem now, no longer Tel Aviv. We actually recognized the Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. That set them off. We recognized that Jerusalem is not a split city, not divided. It is one city. It is a unified city within the borders of the nation of Israel, and we recognized it as the capital yesterday. That set them off. Holy war? All right. Now, before I get to oligarchy, the one thing I got to say about all this Mueller and Russian, and I'm talking I could say Kislyak, I could say Tsar. Here's one oligarchy. A Russian oligarchy. We're going to get to that in a minute. But first of all, last man standing. I want to put this up. Last man standing. How many of you who told you to do that? I didn't tell you to do that. Get the oligarchy off the screen now and put last man standing up.
You better be nice.
I'm trying to calm down before at 9 o'clock.
I know you're excited. It's okay.
Okay, last man standing. Can you put that one up? I asked you this morning. There you go. Tim Allen, and I just want to take a second with this, okay? Because the viewers win, I guess. You win out there. I don't know if you've ever watched a show. Just 30 seconds on this. Tim Allen, Last Man Standing. Lisa and I have watched every episode. Every single one. We love Last Man Standing. There's the liberal in there, the liberal son-in-law, and the liberal son-in-law wants to raise the grandchild this way, and Tim Allen is the ultra-conservative, works in a big outdoor sports department store kind of place, right? Like what would you call it? A Bass Pro or something?
Like a Cabela's.
Yeah, like a Cabela's. He works there, and Mom kindly has a side that she likes Hillary a little bit, and that just cringes Tim Allen.
Are you kidding me?
No, but it's not bad. No, it's not bad. You would like. You've never watched this show?
No.
Okay, well then stay out of it. All right. So anyhow, it's coming back. It got canceled because the liberal TV company there that had the show, I forget, axed it when Trump got elected. They got mad when Trump got elected, and because it is predominantly 85% conservative, but it's coming back on Fox, okay? So we just wanted to give a shout out to you out there. Online betting, okay? The Supreme Court said yesterday, take that down, please. The Supreme Court strikes down a ban on sports betting, a victory for New Jersey. All right, now the interesting thing is I'm not opposed to what the Supreme Court did, but a victory for New Jersey. Now, I'm wondering if Tony Soprano, who they're going to kick up to. Oh my gosh, could you see this online betting? All right, Supreme Court reporter Richard Wolff breaks down the Supreme Court of the United States ruling in sports betting in the United States and what it could mean for the future gaming and professional Sorry about that. It's asking me if I want to do something. Gaming in professional and college sports. New Jersey won yesterday. Chris Christie won a landmark ruling from Supreme Court on Monday that could lead many states to legalize betting on college and professional sports. The justice declared unconstitutional a law by Congress a quarter century ago that forced states to keep sports gambling book bans on the books. The 6-3 decision clears the way for other states to join Nevada in allowing bets to be placed on individual games. Okay? Samuel Alito, a New Jersey native, wrote the court's opinion in the case. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sotomayor dissented, and Justice Stephen Breyer dissented in part. Congress can regulate sports gaming directly, but if it elects not to do so, each state is free to act on its own, Alito said. Our job is to interpret the law Congress has enacted and decide whether it's consistent with the Constitution. It was a victory for the state's recent departed Governor Chris Christie, who challenged the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act passed by Congress in 1992 to preserve the integrity of the nation's most popular sports. He and other proponents sought the ruling to help the state's ailing casinos and racetracks. Now, here's the thing. Up till now, the best I understand, Nevada was the place that you had to go through all your sports betting. I guess that's it, right? So, Jersey wanted a piece of the action. I mean, it's that simple. Jersey wanted a piece of the action. So they didn't want to have to kick up to Nevada. The guys in Nevada, they didn't want to kick up that far, right? I'm serious. That's the only way I can figure it out. I got to go Sopranos on this, all right? So Jersey didn't want to kick up, to Nevada. They're like, why can't our casinos have the sport betting, right? And why can't our track, when you go to the track and go over here, you can bet, why can't we do it? We're tired of kicking up. So bottom line is, you read it, look it over, see what you think. But I'm thinking, like, as soon as I see a headline, I'm sorry, folks, I'm a Soprano junkie. As soon as I see a headline says, sports betting and New Jersey wins, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. All right, so that being said, let's move along to another one. Okay? Oligarchy. Now, before I take a quick break, oligarchy. Let me see if I have this right. Oligarch. Okay.
Oligarch.
A ruler and an oligarch. Wait a minute. Let me see. I can't pronounce that, so let's get that right. Oligarchy. A small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. An oligarch. A ruler is an oligarch, especially in Russia, a very rich business leader with a great deal of political influence. Folks, it looks as though we have an oligarch. Robert Mueller may have an oligarch problem. This oligarch seems to have showed up everywhere. Okay, the FBI may have an oligarch problem. Conflict of interest. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a brief break. We know it's only 8:15. We're going to try to get a lot of stuff in this morning because at 9 o'clock we will have our debate this morning live. 8th Georgia House seat, 8th District Republican primary debate right here at 9 a.m. I'm your host, BKP. Let's take a brief break and we'll come back and talk about the oligarch.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
Better days ahead. Yellow pollen means green cash at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. The spring savings event is on at Days, and the discounts are deep. Now save up to $11,000 off select new 2018 Chevy Silverados, or up to $6,000 off select new 2018 Equinox. Pick any Chevy you want and save a bunch during the spring savings event going on now at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. I'm trying to find something here, Amanda, real quick. What's today's date? How come I can't find my pictures? Oh, I know why. So, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We have a different kind of show this morning at 8:20. At 8:20 here in the morning. At 9 o'clock, we're going to have a live debate right here in the studio. We will have the 8th Georgia House seat, District 8. We'll have Mickey Cummings. This is a Republican primary debate. Mickey Cummings, the challenger to Matthew Gertler. He is the incumbent in that district seeking re-election. So we will have that at 9 o'clock. We're going to take two more breaks here before. Now at 8:52, when we take our long break getting ready for the debate, don't go anywhere. You need to be back here sharp right in front of that TV, that computer, or that handheld device that we call a phone at 9 o'clock, because we're going to start immediately at 9. Okay, now, Oh, let me tell you also, so you can tell your friends, it's fyntv.com. It's that simple. Now, if you would like to text our show, even during the debate, we will not be reading them to the candidates, but if you would like to text the debate at any time, text me at any time. Our number is 706-889-9700. Let me also say that it's our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline for news. If you're anywhere within the North Georgia area and you want to send us something, you can text it at 706-889-9700. You can also email me or our company here, chief@fetchernews.com. You can follow us on Twitter @FetcherNews, @FYNTV. And also, we are live this morning. And if you like what we're doing on the show, we have a little fun, but we actually bring some real information to you out there. If you like what we do on the show, don't hesitate. Find our YouTube channel. Now, our YouTube channel, FYNTV, Fetch Your News, and you will get subscribed. You will get a notification anytime we're doing a live broadcast. All right, now, oligarchy, okay? Now, we have, it looks like there's an oligarchy problem here. And let's start with Mueller, okay? Now, Mueller may have a conflict, and it leads directly to a Russian oligarch. Special counsel Robert Mueller, now this is former FBI Director McCabe and Comey, and this is our oligarch. Oligarch seems to show up everywhere. Let's just go through our oligarch list. He just seems to be everywhere, this oligarch, Russian oligarch. And, okay, now he is supposedly these tied to Paul. There's Michael Steele, the Russian M16 special agent there. Michael Steele, the author of the dossier, the Russian dossier. Oligarch seems to show up around Steele somewhere maybe. There's another oligarch issue there where he seems to show up around Paul Manafort, this oligarch. We got another one there. Oh, there's the oligarch with none other than the Supreme, right? Supreme leader there. There's Putin, okay. What is Putin's first name?
It's Vladimir.
Vladimir. Oh, okay. I missed that. Vladimir Putin there with the oligarch. Once again, the oligarch. And do I have any more oligarch pictures, or is that all we have today? Did I have one just by himself? Do I not have any just oligarch profiles? Let's just put him up by him. No, let's just put him up with Putin for a minute, okay? Special counsel Robert Mueller has withstood relentless political attacks, many distorting his record of distinguished government service. Don't I have a picture of Mueller? Let's put Mueller up. This is who we're talking about. Mueller may have an oligarch, so let's put Mueller's picture up. There he is. There's Robert. Robert has withstood relentless political attacks, many distorting his record of distinguished government service. But there's one episode even Mueller's former law enforcement comrades, an independent eccentrist, acknowledge raises legitimate legal issues and possible conflict of interest in his overseeing the Russian election. In 2009, when Mueller ran the FBI, the Bureau asked Russian oligarch Olgy Depensky, I don't know, that's a Russian name, to spend millions of his own dollars funding an FBI-supervised operation to rescue retired FBI agent Robert Levinson, captured in Iran while working for the CIA in 2007. So Mueller, let's go to the oligarch / Putin. So Mueller went to oligarch, Olgy or whatever his name is, wanted him to spend millions of dollars to fund an FBI supervised operation. The FBI would oversee it to rescue a retired FBI agent captured in Iran. Yes, that's the same Depensky, whatever his name is, who has surfaced in Mueller's current investigation and who has recently sanctioned by Trump's administration. Interesting. The Levinson mission is confirmed by more than a dozen participants inside and outside the FBI, including the oligarch, his lawyer, and Levinson's family and retired agent who supervised the case. Mueller was kept apprised of the operation, officials told me. Now, what I'm thinking here, before we get too far, when we get into Mueller's investigation, and they're going through everything, right? And he says oligarch. Well, it seems like I recognize that name from somewhere. Because this the oligarch's name is all in this investigation everywhere. May have ties to Putin, as you can see. Some aspect of whatever help was chronicled in a 2016 book by reporter Barry Meyer, but sources provide extensive new information about his role. I don't want to go too far, but it is time to end this witch hunt. It is time to switch gears. It is time to look into the other side of who is the secret agent that infiltrated the Trump campaign. Who was the spy that the FBI put inside the Trump campaign? Who authorized everything that was going on to try to bring Donald Trump down? President Obama and Richard Nixon. What Watergate can't hold what Obama and his Justice Department and his criminals did during his administration. Watergate comes nowhere near. This Russian oligarch, they need to focus on, and don't forget, on the 18th, on May 18th, the Washington, Northern Virginia court, federal court, Judge Ellis has given them till May 18th to provide him an unredacted copy of the actual scope of work that Rod Rosenstein gave Robert Mueller in this investigation. Remember, this judge said, come on, man, the American people do not want unfeathered power, okay? There's no way the American people said that they're okay with the Department of Justice appointing a special counsel with unfeathered power, okay? No way. There's got to be a scope, and it's got to fit within the Constitution, and it's got to fit within some laws. You can't just have endless powers to do whatever you want, because we know you want to go after Paul Manafort all the way back in 2009 and try to get him on crimes in 2009 so you can get to the President of the United States for the ultimate win of impeachment. Judge Ellis said that himself. So it is the 15th. Don't think that we don't have till the 18th for the judge has told them they have to send the unredacted copy. All right, so that's our oligarch moment. Let's see what else I have here, trying to just get through the morning here before we get to, AKA CNN, AKA the Stormy Daniels Network, they're still looking for an apology for Meghan McCain's daddy. I'm serious. You know what, folks? I'm just going through some things here because I want to make sure we cover as much as we can before the 9 o'clock hour. But I turned on CNN at 5 a.m. this morning, okay? And what is on CNN at 5 a.m. this morning? They're talking about the apology that has not come from the White House low-level staffer, I forget which staffer, that said something about, well, McCain's going to die anyway or whatever. What are we concerned about his vote? He's dying anyway. I forget exactly what's said, but they're still focusing. CNN is still focusing on why they've not gotten, the McCain family has not received. So at 5 o'clock this morning, CNN is still focusing on why Meghan McCain's daddy, that would be John McCain, has not received an apology so she can move on and have another subject to talk about on The View and not be stuck on why her dad has been so disrespected. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say this right now. I know this is controversial, okay? And you'll have to tune back in tomorrow to figure out a little more about me and the direction I go in. But John McCain, let's be clear, in his political service, not military, in his political service, He's been no more than a senator, folks. Okay? He has been somebody that placed his name on a ballot, okay, that the voters went and decided they would like to have as a senator. Now, why the hell they did that, I don't know. But that's it. He's a senator, okay? John Glenn was a senator, right? Was that his name, from Ohio? He was an astronaut, but he was a senator. He was a man that went and placed his name on a ballot and asked voters to send him to Washington, D.C. That's who John McCain is. So in his life as a senator, okay, I may search long and hard and find a couple accomplishments that I would come and brag about. But for the most part, the only thing I truly thank John McCain for during his time as a senator is Sarah Palin. And I know how many boos just went up, but Sarah Palin gave birth, no pun intended, let's not get all whacked out there, but she gave birth to the Tea Party movement in this country, and so many things have taken place since that day. So the only thing I really thankful to him is the day he picked Sarah Palin for a running mate. Okay, now, so did you hear about this yesterday, Amanda? Stormy Daniels is being accused of directing an adult film where she didn't act on the porn set when an assault claim alleges an actress. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I did.
We'll have to talk about that. We're going to take another brief break because we got one more break and then we got one more before the 9 o'clock, and we're trying to get everything set up and we got people coming in. So we'll be right back after these messages. Maybe Stormy. You know, I think there should be a new category this year at the Adult Film Actress Awards, okay? Take us to break.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers, and North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
Here's to 60 years of Pizza Hut, to original pan, to stuffed crust, and to the best of both. The new double cheesy crust pan pizza with stuffed crust cheese baked just inside the golden edge of original pan. Here for a limited time. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source.
Okay, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. You can reach the show. 706-889-9700 is our phone number. You can text the show, and that is our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week news hotline. Any news that you hear or you want us to check into, you can send us a message there or call that number. Also, chief@FetcherNews.com is our email address. You can follow us on Twitter at FetcherNews, at FYNTV. Also, go to YouTube, find our YouTube channel, FYNTV Fetcher News, and subscribe today. And anytime we're doing a live broadcast, you will get a notification. At 9 a.m., we will have both candidates in here for the 8th Georgia House Republican primary, 8th district seat, right? I got all that. Boom. 9 a.m. we will have the incumbent, Matthew Gertler, and his opponent, Mickey Cummins, will be right here for a 1-hour debate. And it's just that, folks. It's not a disrespect. You will see, if you're used to watching forums, if you're used to watching the debates down in Atlanta, this is a debate. We allow the candidates to discuss the issues and we throw some things in there, and we let these candidates really drill down on why they want you to vote for them, because that's my goal always at FetcherNews.com. Our goal is to get you, the voters, the most information when you go to the polls, which is Election Day, May 22nd. And speaking of that, now, Amanda, first of all, I just want to say quickly, how weird can things continue to go? Porn actress who claimed to have been assaulted on the set by Stormy Daniels, okay? Into further details, she went into further details, delved into further details in an interview with the website The Daily Beast. Stormy Daniels is a stage name for the adult film star and director Stephanie Clifford, okay? Now, Tasha Rain said that she was sexually harassed last year and feels that Daniels, the director on the shoot, did not appropriately handle the situation. I have to ask you a question, okay?
Oh,
how the hell do you sexually harass anybody on a porn movie set? How do you do that?
Oh my, did you really just ask me that?
I'm just wondering. I mean, come on.
You know, these women consider it their jobs.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, thank you.
And everything.
Whoa. You're
while they're quote working.
Actually, you're much more involved in this story at this time than I wish for you to be. That's my kind way of saying get the hell out. So I spoke up. Here's what she said. I spoke up immediately because I was in the moment. I mean, you got to read these. What are these penthouse letters? I spoke up immediately because I was in the moment. I was so proud of myself. And I keep thinking, I'm reading her statement thinking, you're doing a porn movie. I was so proud of myself. She was the director that day. I went straight to her and straight to the man that did it. We had a conversation about it. I did all the right things, and she did not handle the situation appropriately, respectfully, or professionally. Raines told the website, so it's a little bit outrageous when I hear her say things about how she is standing up for women and want a voice for other women to be able to come forward when I was assaulted on her set and she didn't give me any care or attention and didn't even send the man home. Maybe he was the star of the show. I don't know.
I just have no words right now.
Exactly, right? I mean, she was in the moment. She was in the zone. Holy smokes. But you know, listen, the only reason I do this is not because I want to make fun of it. This is actually what CNN does, like 12 hours of their broadcast time. CNN is the Stormy Daniels network, right?
Yeah.
So you remember, you were not here Friday. You were on the beach. And before you sabotaged the show.
Oh my God.
You did. You sabotaged the show. You broke the cord.
350 miles away, and
yes.
I intentionally sabotaged the show.
So anyhow, right? So the other thing is, so this Michael, what's his name? What's the attorney's name?
Cohen.
Who?
Michael Cohen.
No, Michael. His name's Michael Avante.
Michael
Avenante.
Hang on.
He's threatening to sue the Daily Caller reporters now. Because the Daily Caller has exposed that Stormy Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenante, has a little bit of a tax problem, like to the tune of $5 million in back taxes. He bankrupted a coffee company. He left shareholders high and dry. He left vendors high and dry without paying them. This guy has a past. And now because the Daily Caller, adult film star Stormy Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenatti, threatened Monday to sue the Daily Caller and its reporters individually for defamation, according to an email published by one of the conservative news site reporters. Okay, now what they did is they put out the background on the guy.
Yeah.
He's a crook. That's my words. That's my words. Easy. God, he'll be suing us in about 4 minutes.
Maybe CNN's paying his dad off.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I understand he got an $8 million windfall as soon as he became Stormy Daniels' attorney. I mean, seriously. So I just wanted to bring that up. Okay, now a couple more things. We did the oligarchy, right? We got an oligarchy. Michael, let's see, Mueller has an oligarchy problem. We did The Sopranos now can do internet gambling in New Jersey because they got a guy and they don't want to kick it up to Vegas. We did in 1948, congratulations Israel, on 70 years of statehood. Let's see, we looked through that. And there's two things I want to go with. Number one, the governor, I've got a brief time, the governor's race, Hunter Hill, okay? Here's what I told you, and I will get into this more tomorrow on the governor's race, okay? I knew Hunter Hill made some mistakes. Let me tell you something about Donald Trump, okay? Donald Trump, and this is what's wrong with several politicians today, is they talk to different groups and they have different speeches when they talk to different groups. We here in Georgia have what we call the Atlanta politicians and the rural politicians, and they're the same person. They just have two personalities. Here's the thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump never gave two different speeches. Now, yes, he went on the campaign trail and he talked about different subjects, and he may have even taken the same subject, whether it's border, the wall, regardless of what it is, and he may have turned it around a little bit. But he never gave two different speeches. He never changed his speech to any group of voters, okay? Hey, Donald Trump walked into a room, no matter who the group of voters are sitting in the audience, and he gave the same speech. And as you well know, it worked out. The majority of Americans, I know they will argue Hillary won the popular vote, but the majority of the Americans in the Electoral College like the fact that he gave the same speech. And the ones that are upset, got upset, are still upset, remain upset, and are determined to be upset until he leaves office. But he never changed his speech. Now, there was a lot of rumor, and I'm not going to get too deep because I don't have the time. There was a lot of rumor that Hunter Hill had give different speeches in different places. There was a lot of talk, and I would have people say to me, hey, you don't know the Hunter Hill in Alpharetta. Okay, now I'm not knocking the guy because I really like Hunter Hill, but I would hear, you don't know the Hunter Hill in Alpharetta. Now this seems to be, now Amanda, I don't have it on my screen, so you'll have to read this for me if you can. This is a mailer that went out on Hunter Hill. What does that mailer say?
It says Hunter Hill's double talk, saying anything to get elected.
Okay, then flip it over. This is the backside. This went out in the mail. This is really getting ugly on the campaign. Can you read some of the things on there for our viewers? Because...
yes, it says, how can you trust Hunter Hill when he's saying anything to get elected? And it goes on to say, Hunter Hill, candidate for Buckhead, anti-life. He said he didn't believe we need additional laws to protect life. He is anti-Second Amendment. He said no to law-abiding citizens should not be able to carry concealed weapons. Never Trump. Hill said on Facebook that Trump wouldn't be better than Obama. Hunter Hill, candidate for governor, suddenly pro-life. Now he claims he will sign any pro-life plan, but how can we trust him? Actually, still Second Amendment. Hill said at the candidate forum, if it's 21 on a handgun, it makes sense to make 21 on automatic weapons of semi-automatic weapons. And always Trump. Hill claimed on Twitter that he stands with Trump. It would be funny if he wasn't so desperate. Hunter Hill wants to have it both ways, but don't buy his double talk. Hill says anything to get elected.
Now that's a mailer. Don't give me, now there's no, they wait till there's really no time to respond. They wait till the candidate cannot respond, and they shove your mailbox with this kind of stuff. True or false, I don't know, but I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming because of the accusations being made. So I'm going to get past that. Let me get two more things here. Go ahead and take that down. Folks, I just want to say this, and I'll talk about it tomorrow. Yes, I really think kids, I don't want to say if you want to go to college. Let me see how I say this, okay? And I don't have time to do this story, but kids, there are thousands, young people, young adults. If we build our schools and get our education to a point, whether you like it or not, a K through 12 education, we are back to. There was a time in history where a high school diploma meant you could get a good job. Then we went through a period of time to where we were sold that a high school diploma wasn't enough, that a college degree was the only way you could get a good job, and a high school diploma would not be able to, you will not be able to get a job to afford, to make a living and raise your family. Okay, we were sold that, and I don't have time to go into that, okay? Thousands upon thousands of jobs that have apprenticeship in the industry are going unfilled. Here are thousands of good paying jobs go unfilled in South Carolina. Now this one CEO, and I don't have time to do it and I don't want to mess it up. This one CEO says, he said, your state government lied to us. Because see, we have these economic development Georgia, South Carolina, and we're all trying to woo these manufacturing companies. We're all trying to woo these people, and we're telling them that we're grooming our next generation. We're training our next generations for the jobs of the next generation, okay? We're training our students now. And this CEO said, your state government lied to us, okay? They said the people would be there to do the job, and they're not, okay? Noble, this is Noble Anderson, did not respond for an interview. A Volvo spokeswoman did not dispute Noble's comments. This is Volvo. South Carolina's latest unemployment rate, 4.4%. Look, we do not have to have every single kid go to college. There are outstanding jobs being unfilled that a high school degree can get you a job, and there's good apprenticeship programs where you can make an enormous amount of money, more than probably the degree you're trying to seek in college. I'm your host, BKP. I have to go. I don't have time. Oklahoma City Schools renamed 3 schools yesterday. The Board of Education Oklahoma City in Oklahoma voted to take Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, and Stan Waddy off of their schools and replace them. I'm your host, BKP. When we get back, you're going to be here right here, 9 in 7 minutes. 9 o'clock, be here. Our debate will start between incumbent Matthew Gertler and his opponent, Mickey Cummings, right here at 9 o'clock. Take us to break.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's T-E-A-S. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
I've had the time of my it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
Better days ahead.
Yellow pollen means green cash at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. The spring savings event is on at Days, and the discounts are deep. Now save up to $11,000 off select new 2018 Chevy Silverados, or up to $6,000 off select new 2018 Equinox. Pick any Chevy you want and save a bunch during the spring savings event going on now at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevys cost less.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ella, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
Here's to 60 years of Pizza Hut, to original pan, to stuffed crust, and to the best of both. The new double cheesy crust pan pizza with stuffed crust cheese baked just inside the golden edge of original pan. Here for a limited time. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ella, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Welcome, I'm your host BKP, and it is time for the Georgia House of Representatives District 8 debate. The Republican primary candidate, Mickey Cummins, to my right here, the opponent, and the incumbent, Matt Gertler, on the far end. Welcome, gentlemen. Let me explain a little bit of our debate rules. This is an actual debate. We will put a subject out. We will give the candidate that gets the first question in that subject 2 minutes to answer that question. Then after that, the candidates can continue to respond to their opponents or the subject matter we're discussing, meaning that they may open up the door on some of the subject matter we get into this morning. So with that being said, let's get started right away. Each candidate has an opening statement of 1 minute that they can make, and at the close of the day, each candidate can make a 2-minute closing statement. We are starting with the opening statement. Mr. Mickey Cummins, your opening statement.
I'm Mickey Cummins. For 33 years, I've served as a county agent, 26 of which were in these mountains, working with farmers and helping shape the lives of youth through the 4-H program. Toward the end of my career, I helped develop a farmers market in Blairsville that helped revive our vegetable industry, which experienced a tremendous loss in growers over a 10-year period. I'm not a politician. I never plan to be. However, I believe the office seeks a candidate, and with people across this district asking me to run to provide the leadership they deserve, I felt called to do so. I believe conservative leadership protects faith, family, and freedom. Taxes should be low, budget balanced, and constitutional rights protected. I believe in supporting public education where 90% of students are educated. I believe our firefighters and law enforcement deserve respect, that illegals should be deported and criminals jailed. There's nothing more important than keeping our families safe. That elected representatives should do what's best for the people they are elected to serve. Thank you.
Mr. Gertler, your opening statement.
Hello, I'm Matt Gertler. I'm the current state representative. I got involved in politics about a decade ago, and my big thing is to bring principles back into politics. My experience, my principles, what sets me apart and makes me uniquely qualified for this position. I served as an aide for Representative Stephen Allison and got to see the good side, the bad side, and the ugly side of politics at the Capitol. And for the last 2 years, I've been trying my best to represent our values and principles in the mountains. I've never voted for a tax increase. I'm the only candidate that is endorsed by Georgia Right to Life, also the NRA, also the Georgia Republican Assembly. You know, the big thing with politics is we see a lot of compromises happening. I saw this a lot when I was an aide. So the only way we're going to change things for Georgia and things for in the federal level as well is to bring principles back into politics. The only way you can do that is lead by example. And that's what I've been doing the last 2 years, is leading by example. That's how I became the most conservative member of the State House. You know, I always look at bills. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, with that being said, thank you, candidates. Now, we're going to start with you, Mickey Cummins. We're going to start, our first question goes to you. And, you know, a campaign rally, you have a campaign rally scheduled tomorrow night at the Blairsville Civic Center, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's not unusual to hold a rally this close to the election to get the voters out. But what is unusual is that Governor Nathan Deal and House Speaker David Ralston are going to be there. Why are they campaigning for you? And also, why do you think, obviously this may be the same question, but why are they campaigning for you? And also, why do you think they are campaigning against Mr. Gertler, the incumbent?
I think that there have been some public spats between my opponent, Mr. Gertler, and the governors and the Speaker of the House. I think what happens is that he's voted against some things that's important to the people of the district and against those people there, and as a result of that he's had these public spats with these folks. And I think what's happened is that they are wanting somebody to come to the Capitol that's willing to work with people, willing to try to listen to other people's ideas, and willing to be open to new ideas, not necessarily just someone that is against everything that goes on at the Capitol.
Okay, Mr. Goodler, would you like to respond to that? Why do you think, and the same kind of question, but why do you think as an incumbent it's very unusual, almost unprecedented, that a sitting governor and the speaker, House Speaker of Georgia would come to your district and campaign against you?
Right.
So he says public spat, but what would you say about this rally tomorrow night?
Well, I think that it's just obvious. I mean, this race is really between me and the establishment. You know, it really is. If you stand up for what you believe in, if you do conservative values, and you stand, you know, strong on those convictions, what I've been doing, you know, of course I've voted against some of the leadership. But when I got down there, you know, I said we're going to protect life, liberty, and property. And those are the things I've stood on, and I've been a strong conservative voice for that, and that's what I ran my campaign on. And with this election, it is unprecedented that the governor would get involved, that the speaker would get involved, but they don't like dissent. And I threaten the establishment, and that is really what this is. And you know, it really is a race between me and the establishment. My opponent really is just a pawn in this chess game for them. And you know, I think people can see through that in the 8th district. And you know, real true conservatives, unafraid to challenge the status quo, is what it's going to take to get Georgia back to a more prosperous place. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And you have to do that. You have to lead by example.
Would you like to respond? You've been referred to just now as a pawn in a chess game. So how would you respond to that? Now, let me just say and get this correct before we go any further. He is the incumbent for the 8th District. You retired UGA extension agent, correct? You currently are the chairman of the Blue Ridge GMC, is that correct? And also you manage the Union County Farmers Market and the cannery?
Yes.
Okay, so now that being said, how are you a pawn in the chess game? Are you a pawn in the chess game?
When I decided to run for this position, I decided to run because people in the district asked me to, not people in Atlanta. I think people in the district want somebody that can go to Atlanta and work with people down there. I think people deserve better representation, and really I can understand someone standing on principles. What I don't understand is people calling people out in front of crowds and public embarrassment, and that's what this is all about, I think.
When he says crowds and public embarrassment, do you understand what he's referring to, Mr. Glover?
Absolutely. You know, the only way we're going to change things if people, you know, get called out for the bad things they're doing. And I think my opponent has even publicly stated this, that the only way you got things done in the Blue Ridge GMC is if you called out people to do this. So you're kind of reinforcing my point here. The speaker, you know, there's an agenda of the governor deal, and Speaker Ralston is contrary to the will of the people sometimes. If you go against these so-called leaders, you know, you're the bad guy. And so what I've been doing is just trying to bring real principles to, if we're going to be Republicans, let's act like it. I mean, if you look at really what the you know, the types of agendas that these guys are pushing through, it's crony capitalism, it's not for the goodwill of the people, it's waste, it's bloated budgets, and that's what I've been trying to change, this budget process. And that's the only way we're going to change it. Like I said, you have to lead by example, and I'm trying to be the conscience of the party. That's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, and it is making a movement, a big movement in Georgia for the conservative cause is by doing that.
Before we move on from our area that we're discussing, the governor coming tomorrow for a campaign rally, Governor Nathan Deal and House Speaker David Ralston, is there any other comments that anybody would like to make concerning that part of that before we move on? Okay, Mr. Gertler, we're going to move on to something else, okay, because you have referred to Mr. Cummings as a pawn in a chess game. And you have said, you know, you wanted to change the budget process. You've made several comments here, but you have become known in Washington. You have become, I mean, in Atlanta, you've become known as Mr. No. Right? There's even been articles that and correct me if I'm wrong, okay, there's no other representative that voted no. These are simple. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, but there's no other representative that's voted no as many times as you did in 2018, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Now, according to your website, and if you go to his website, you publish all of your votes and your reasoning for voting yes or no. Mm-hmm. So this is where I'm gathering my information. There was 188 total votes. 74 times you voted no. Okay, according to your information, 74 times. 20 times you're the only representative to vote no. There's bills where it's 167 to 1, 173 to 1. 20 times you're the only one that votes no. 5 times five times only 2 people out of the entire House of Representatives voted no, and 11 times only 3 people voted no. So out of 74 of your no votes, 36 of your no votes were by 3 or less members of the House. What say you on this so far this way? Let's say if I put it out there, I understand a no vote when it's close or something like that, but when the entire body, both sides of the aisle, what are you seeing different 36 times that
Right.
2 to 3 other people are not, with 2 to 3 other people?
Right, I understand the question. It's about consistency. When I look at bills, it is does this measure increase the size and scope or the intrusiveness of government? Could we read the bill? Some of those no votes were, if it increased it a little bit. There was tax increases that would be a small tax increase. I'm the only one. There's actually one of those bills that I voted no was the only one, and it was a $5 tax increase. And this is just an example that would go back to the Senate. It would change to $25. It would come back next year, and it'd be $500 tax increase. So the reason I'm doing, if I vote no, maybe by myself, is based on the principle of the bill. Does it increase the size, scope, or the intrusiveness of government? Is it constitutional? Could I read it? Those are the questions I ask myself every time I look at legislation. And a lot of the times it's a top-down approach in the Capitol, and I might be the only one sometimes on that measure. And then it might come back to the Senate, and if you check those votes again, there could be 40 no votes, and nothing changed in the bill. It says someone has to take a stand, because there's a top-down approach at the Capitol. And this is what I was talking about before, that there's a top-down approach at the Capitol where if you have any sort of dissent, if you question the process, if you question the authority, the leadership, you're going to have retribution from that. And that's not really a representative government in itself if you are afraid to exercise your legislative judgment. And that's what I've seen in the last 2 years, is there are a lot of bills are coming through, and this was out of an aid, that Democrats and Republicans were voting unanimously on all these measures, when I knew, if you really looked at the legislation, that it really wasn't a Republican legislation. And they were using the Democrats to basically grow government. And so a lot of those bills, you have to have principles. That's what's lacking in politics nowadays, and nothing will change. We keep going farther down the road with debt and bloated budgets because people are not standing up for what they truly believe in, and I did not compromise it, because you cannot compromise on our values and principles. We can compromise on policy. When it comes to values and principles, so many have compromised on that before. That's why we have a bloated budget. That's why we have big government today.
Mr. Cummings, 1 minute to respond. Do you have any kind of response to Mr. Gutler's 74 no votes and being actually named Mr. No Vote at the Capitol?
I think it's very important he mentioned his principles, and those are important to him. My principles that are important to me are students, teachers, law enforcement, public safety, those types of things. I think those are very important. And I also think it's very important to represent the people of your district, not a small group of people, but everybody in the district, whoever comes to you with an idea. So it's very important to take their ideas and work toward those things, and if a possible vote comes up to help somebody in the district, whether it's a student, whether it's a teacher, law enforcement, I think it's important to represent those people and take in consideration how this will affect them.
Let me say this, Mr. Gutler, and coming off of your answer, let's stay on the no votes.
Can I respond to that, though?
Yes, you can respond to that,
right.
Absolutely.
So that's precisely why I introduced House Bill 1075, so we could prioritize our spending on our children, on our education, on our transportation, because right now you have this omnibus budget bill. This is all in the news, and people know about this, the federal government, about how they have omnibus budget bills, and they push through all these bad policies. And that's why I stood alone in the budget, because I want to prioritize spending where we can break it down by department instead of an omnibus budget bill. That's the only way we're going to prioritize things like taking care of our kids, having good needs for our transportation and infrastructure needs. Besides that, we're going to have a broken budget system still unless we get those things changed. And that bill is a great bill, and all Georgians need to have that type of legislation in place so we can have a more transparent and more accountable state government in this budget. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, let me ask you a question since you brought that up. How many voted against the state budget?
The very first year when I came in, I was the only one in the House and in the Senate. But this wasn't new. When I was an aide, I got to see this, I studied.
What about this past year's budget? How many voted against it?
We had 7 on the small budget, and then we had 14 on the big budget, and then we had 1 senator dissenter. I believe that was Michael Williams.
That voted no on the budget this year. But you did vote the 2 years, just for clarification, you have represented the 8th District for 2 years, and both years you voted no on the budget.
Yes, I've represented the district for 2 years. I voted against the budget because it's wasteful. And our district is extremely conservative. It's the most conservative district in Georgia, and I'm the most conservative representative in Georgia, and that's what I ran my campaign on, is against big government waste.
And would you like to respond to that, Mr. Cummings?
Yes, I would. I like the idea of his bill if I could read it through all of it. But what concerns me is the budget-making process that we have in place is the only budget-making process we have at this time. I don't know that bill has ever made it to the floor, and I think the reason it's never made it to the floor is because Matt has had so many problems with some of these public spats with leadership down there in the House. So will it ever make it to the floor is my concern.
I respond to that.
Yes, you can.
The only reason this bill is not going to make it to the floor is because they use the budget as leverage. If you have any experience at the Capitol and know how the process works, you would know that they use the budget as leverage every single year to persuade people to say that you cannot vote against the budget, or you'll vote against things like you're attacking me on, public schools and other things like that, and our children, which is very disingenuous because the budget process is used as leverage with the leadership to say that if you vote against it, even though it's a bad budget, even though there's all this crony capitalism, subsidies into it, interferes with the free market, it's not the proper role of government, we're going to attack you on that. And that's exactly the same type of establishment tactics that, frankly, that you're using. And it's disingenuous to say that when I do support these children, and I do support the transportation, and because I want a better budget to prioritize the spending so we can focus on things that we should be spending, because there's billions of dollars of waste in the Georgia budget that should be going to those things like that.
Well, let me ask you this, okay, because before I ask you if you'd like to respond, because I'm listening to you and I keep up with it. It's a $26 billion budget. It has increased every year. So those are just facts that are out there. So, but let me ask you this: when you're making the decision, you voted no, as you well know, and I guess I hope I don't have the word wrong. Austerity cuts in education that have taken place over the last several years, or years ago. That every year the state of Georgia, the governor has tried to increase funding to QBE. Right. All right. And this year, according to the budget, it's whole. Now, in fairness to you, let me just say, when you use the word omnibus, yes, all the departments are pushed together and you get one vote. Mm-hmm. I understand that. But that being said, this part of the budget of what you would call an omnibus is the education. And this year, and I want to know from you, this year, Rayburn County will receive fully funded. The schools will be fully funded. Rayburn County will receive an additional $142,398. Towns County will receive an additional $76,058. Union County, an additional $269,490. White County, which is a portion of this district, $391,561. In that also, to give you a chance to respond, because you are being taken to task at a lot of the advertising or whatever, caring about the kids. So Let me just put all this out here. After the Parkland school shooting in Florida, the state of Georgia immediately put some money in the budget to increase school security grant funding. Rayburn County will receive, for school security out of this budget, Rayburn County will receive to improve security $39,589, Towns County $31,685, Union County $43,724, and White County, again, only a portion of the district, $50,406. So when you're voting for the budget, and I understand you're continually saying principles, and you're voting for the budget, and you see this, going to the schools and security. What are you thinking when you make that final vote on the budget to say no, knowing this is the outcome and part of it?
Overall, if you had my way with putting in the 1075, House Bill 1075, we could probably most assuredly have more funding to those types of programs into the school districts if we would cut out all the waste. Now, these budgets did pass, and they always pass, and they will always pass, I believe, unless we change something drastically. So, and the thing that I'm trying to do, if we could actually pass the budget that I've introduced, which is 49 separate bills and voted on by department, if we could pass through things that are not controversial, then we could debate things like the subsidies and the corporate welfare and things like that. So we could probably get that money, that is all the leftover money, is billions of dollars, and put it towards more of our infrastructure, more to our education. So then in the long run, you have to see that in the long run, this is what's best for all Georgians, and that's just what it has to be.
If you would have been the deciding vote, on the state budget, knowing these numbers for your district, because I want to stay focused. I'm not talking about Atlanta. Okay, I'm talking about the 8th district. All right. If you'd have been the deciding vote on the state budget this year, knowing security increases, knowing that this would fully fund the education in your 8th district, based on the budget process we have now, would you have still voted no?
I think that we should always do the right thing all the time, regardless of the pressure, and that's what I've been doing at the Capitol. Even how much pressure it was from people, you should always do the right thing, because that's what you're there for. You're elected to represent a constituency, a number of people, 60,000 people, and they trust you to make that decision for them. And regardless of the pressure, you should always do the right thing. If we're going to have a better state, if we're going to have a better government, we have to prioritize our spending. And right now we're not. We're not at all.
Mr. Cummings, would you like to respond before we go to our first break?
I think it's important for us to realize that we shouldn't be in Atlanta fighting with other people. We're representing the people in our district. And to me, the right thing is trying to do your best always for students and for teachers. Now, when you start talking about things like students and their protection, how much is the student worth, I guess, is what I'm thinking about. I just think that we need to do the right thing to represent their students in those protection grants, and all that money that would have come back to our school systems is very important to those school systems. So those things are what's important to me, to represent those people in the best way that I can.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to go to our first break. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll return right after these messages with the continued second part of our Georgia House of Representatives 8th District debate, right after these messages.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today. And we're back. This is the second half of our debate for the Georgia House seat 8th District. Georgia House seat 8th District. We have incumbent Matthew Gutler and his opponent Mickey Cummings with us here now. And the 8th District, let me just be clear, they would represent Union County, Towns County, a portion of White County, and Rabun County. Okay, we're back, gentlemen, for our second part. Let's start here, and we started that first segment with you, and I do want a follow-up question on the first. But campaign finance, let's start with Mr. Gutler on the second part here and get the ball rolling. Campaign finance, I've looked at both of your campaign finance reports. Mr. Gutler, what do you think about campaign finance in the state of Georgia? And I noticed recently you are endorsed and you just received, I think, $2,600 from the Georgia Republican Assembly, and you have been endorsed by them. You have 2 or 3 pretty large sums of money, but talk a little bit about campaign finance and how your campaign is being run.
Right. Yes, most of my donations come from inside the district. You know, about the average donation I get is about $25, about checks from there. I sent my first letter out, and it's the first time I ever asked for money from the district. And so we had a little survey in there, and we kind of have a poll on that, and we got, I think the letter was, you know, just a little over, almost a little less than $3,000. We've got back about $4,000 of just those little checks, those $25 checks. That means a lot to me because, you know, small amounts, you have a lot of fixed income constituents up here. That means a lot of support's coming from there. You know, campaign finance, you just want to see where the money's coming from. That's what in Georgia ethics is, where it's coming from. And most of the money is coming from, at least for in my campaign, from constituents that care about the district and care about what I'm doing. And that's pretty much instant polling that we do when we go door to door, and we can definitely tell that. We knock on the doors, and the feedback's been very good from that aspect. And I think that that's what we should be doing. Going door to door, getting to know the people, and in the donations coming in. I think I know where you're leading to this question towards with the amount of donations that my opponent has been taking from the so-called establishment leadership. I think that's exactly, I've seen this happen before with other campaigns. They attempt to buy out the districts, attempt to sway public opinion with these negative smear campaigns. And I see I have 30 seconds left there. And so it's just trying to get to the truth of the matter. You won't be able to see our donations really entirely until the next quarter. But you can see a lot of two-day reports right now if it's $1,000 or over. And I think that probably you've studied up on those. But most of my donations, majority of my donations, I would say probably 85% come from inside the district, and we raise a substantial amount of money this election.
So next quarter we will see the campaign contributions on the lower level, and could you explain to the viewers what two-day reporting is? It's right. A certain size of the campaign donation has to be reported on a two-day note.
That's right. So two-day report had to be $1,000 or over.
Right.
You would have to put that upon receiving the receipt of the check. Whenever you got it, then you would deposit it, and you've got to report it in the next 2 days. That's right.
Okay, Mr. Cummins. That being said, campaign finance. You have received a lot of money, $13,000 plus, if my numbers are correct, in campaign finance from different representatives around the state, including the Speaker of the House's campaign finance fund. Why are they supporting your campaign around the state financially?
I think the reason my campaign is being supported by those individuals is just what we mentioned earlier, that all of these public arguments, spats, whatever you want to call them, Matt's having a hard time getting along with people down there and with those. And I've got about, like you say, somewhere around $14,000 from those individuals. Most of my money is coming from the district. I haven't put a pen and pencil to it, but somewhere around 60% of our money is coming from the district. So these people have supported me. I'm not beholden to anybody. At the same time, though, I have the ability to get along with anybody, and that's what I plan on doing.
Well, then how can you convince the voters, and I know you probably want to follow up, Mr. Gertler, but I want to follow this up just a minute. How can you convince the voters that are watching this morning that you would go and be beholden to the citizens in the 8th District and not the people giving you money in Atlanta?
Well, for 33 years, I've worked as a county agent. For 33 years, I had to supply non-biased, research-based education to the clients in the counties that I worked in. And what I tried to do is never get involved in partisan politics or anything along those lines. I am used to being able to use money from entities to conduct scientific demonstrations, on-farm demonstrations, and that sort of thing, and help people out in the counties. And so if I am fortunate enough to win this election and go to Atlanta, the most important people that I will represent will be people within the 8th District.
Well, no pun intended. You're going to get your response. No pun intended. With Mr. Gertler being labeled the no man, you guarantee the voters that you won't go down there and just be a yes man?
No, I'm not going to do that. I haven't been in my entire career, and I'm not going to be now.
Mr. Gertler, would you like to respond?
Right. I have great relationships with people at the Capitol, and the only time, just to clarify that, the only time I've ever called out anybody publicly was when you were there at that meeting when I called the speaker out, because if you asked me a truthful question, I gave you the truth to that. I have great relationships with my colleagues.
In clarity, I want to make sure, because at that meeting on that Saturday morning, you made a comment several times that there needed to be a change in the leadership.
Yes, that's exactly.
I asked you, if you're saying that, are you prepared to give a name? Is that correct? And that's when you...
Pretty correct, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's the only time I ever called out anybody publicly, and I felt like it was necessary to do that because the leadership, like I said, has been not being able to represent me to be able to represent the interests that I can because you're blocking bills and things like that, and that's just not right. But relationships with my colleagues, I built a following in the House of Representatives by leading by example. And the only way you're going to do that, is to get up there and speak out against bad legislation. Because I have a voice and I have a vote. I might not be able to get things passed, but that is because of the terrible leadership that we have in the House. And so I thought it's necessary to do that, to have a change. Because the only way we're going to change things if we call out bad leaders for doing bad things. And that's what they've come back to me was retribution with my opponent now is trying to funnel money to my opponent to buy out the district in order to get their yes man. They don't want any dissenting voice in the Capitol to question the process. And like I said before, I do threaten the establishment, just me by speaking out and standing up for our principles and our values up here in North Georgia.
Do you not think in the campaign finance, who gives you money and puts money into your campaign, that you should be concerned on what their values are or what they're involved in? For example, if somebody gives you money, should you not take a minute and look, hey, they stand for this, this, and this, or they support this and this, and maybe say no? Or what do you think where that's concerned? You can go first there, Mr. Goodman.
I mean, absolutely. If people give me money, if Planned Parenthood gave me money, I would send it back. I have to look at who's giving me money.
If somebody gave you money that is totally against your beliefs, principles, you would say no.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
If there was some, like for instance, my example was if Planned Parenthood gave me money, I would absolutely send that money back. I want people to support me for the right reasons, absolutely. And I think that's what we've been having with our with this campaign, with donations from constituents and things like that. Absolutely, you have to look at who's supporting you, who's behind you, and they expect something from you. They do. They're going to expect something from you, and I know that. You see this happen all the time. I said, how are people getting rich? How are people that have all this money in their campaign coffers when we make $17,000 a year? It doesn't make sense. And I really got to know the process these last 6 years. I've been studying it, 2 years as an elected official, 4 years as an aide. And it's because they compromise. It's because they trade votes and they get donations. And that's exactly what happens down there. And that's exactly why people elected Donald Trump, because they're fed up with the status quo. They're fed up with the same old get along crowd. And it's exactly what's happening in Atlanta. It's a swamp down there too. I've said this before and I'll say it again. There's only way to have real change is to lead by example. And I cannot reiterate that enough. If you want smaller government, if you want more accountable government, if you want a better budget, you've got to get out there and do it yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. And that's what I've been doing at the Capitol.
Mr. Cummings, let me ask you on that note, would you be able to say right now to the voters that no matter who has put a campaign donation because with both of you, what I could see, I would be candid, I haven't seen any donations that are illegal according to campaign finance law in the state of Georgia, okay? So that being said, would you tell the voters now that they could rest assured that you wouldn't change the principles, your principles, and change not doing the best interest for the citizens of the 8th District based on who donated to your campaign? They will not buy your vote if it goes against the 8th District citizens or your principles.
The 8th District is my highest priority. If I get elected, that's who I will be beholden to. That's who I will work with. And if legislation comes across that's bad for people in the 8th District, I will vote against it.
Okay, I want to stay into campaign finance and what campaign finance and lobbyists or special interest groups that you could be tied to. You just received $2,600 from the Georgia Republican Assembly, and you're endorsed by them. Okay, you're endorsed by the union chapter, if that's what it's called. Georgia Republican Assembly Union chapter, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now that being said, at this time there's a vote, and at this time there's a vote on Tuesday also for East Blast, and Union Cares which is endorsed by the Union Georgia Republican Assembly and has the same membership, is working very hard to get a no vote for East Blast. Have you separated yourself from them or their opinion on that, or do you have a stance on that come Tuesday? Because those, am I correct? Tell me if I'm wrong. Those are your supporters for the most part, correct?
Well, they're real Republicans. That's right. Yeah, they do support me. You know, they support the principles that I stand for as well. You know, limited government, personal responsibility, you know, individual liberty, free markets. These are the things that Republicans are supposed to stand for. That's why I vote no a lot at the Capitol, is because of the big politicians in Atlanta, the big so-called Republicans, are pushing through big government programs that contradict their own principles. You know, with the question about the East Blast, that's a local issue. You know, I think that's another principle of Republicans, and I'm on the state level, is that it's a local issue, and they should be able to decide what they want to do with that. A lot of those things, like there was, you know, I mean, being attacked for voting against House Bill 146. You know, that's a local issue. I think that we can do better.
What is that? That
was the firefighter coverage bill. Right. You know, that's a local issue. It never should have been a state issue. And politicians shouldn't have used that, because that's what it was. It was a political tool being used basically to make themselves look good, like they were helping people. And what they should be doing is having the localities do that. There's no reason why we can't advocate for that to have happened on the local level. That really did, you know, it was just hypocritical of the Republicans to even push that through. And that's why I had to do that and vote against it. But with the local issues like East Blast, you know, if the people decide in the localities that they would like to have that, they should vote yes. If they don't, they should vote no.
But the same people, as just like, because I will say this, I've been reading everybody's social media. I've been going through everybody's social media, and I've read all the things where it's being said how the leadership, the establishment is supporting McCummings, and the reason they're supporting him and him being tied to them. And the only reason I'm saying this is I think you've read as much social media comments on him being tied to the establishment. You know, I think it's only right to say, well, are some of your ties are some of your ties in Union County, where the Georgia Republican Assembly and Union Cares and those same people that are your supporters that are out putting out your signs? Am I correct? A lot of them?
Some of them are right. Supporters. I'm sure some of them will maybe vote for the...
And I will agree East Blast is a local issue, and you think it belongs to local. So let me ask you a question. I don't have the bill in front of me, but because you brought it up, it's the bill that I think the acronym was MOST. It was a tax allowing the local government on water and sewer projects. Am I correct on that?
I think so.
Okay. It would allow them to levy a tax by referendum of the citizens, a vote.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
You voted no on that. Why didn't you give that local issue to let them decide?
Well, if they want to increase their taxes, I can support something that increases the size and scope and intrusives of the government. So when I look
at that bill didn't particularly increase the tax. It just gives the authority to local governments to decide.
Well, we've had this come through, bills like this come through.
Okay.
And, you know, like with, we condemned a road in right beside the Capitol so they can make a park out of it. And that was a local issue, so the state came in, and I can't remember the bill number for this basically, but this is the same principle behind it. You know, local control is paramount. That's what we should do on the state level. We don't like when the federal government comes in and tells us what to do on the state level. And the same thing, we shouldn't go on the local level and tell them what to do and enforce unfunded mandates and take away property, eminent domain, and things like that sometimes. There was a bill that passed this session where there was a road right next to the Capitol, and they wanted to condemn it without having to go through the process of the locality in Fulton County and to take that road to make it into a park. So what did the legislator do? They go ahead and vote on it and just go ahead and eminent domain the whole road without going through the localities. And so that's sort of the same thing we're talking about now. You know, that's why principles matter. That's why you should always uphold local control and home rule no matter what. And I can't support, the state government saying to the counties that you can basically raise taxes on yourself. You can do things like that. I don't think that's right.
Mr. Cumming, would you like to respond?
Yes, I would. Let's go back to the firefighters insurance. I think it was House Bill 146. Mm-hmm. A concern of mine is this. I talked with some local firefighters, and he said that firefighters across our district were in favor of it. He said in some instances, especially down in middle Georgia, he said you probably never get counties to come forth on their own to supply that firefighter's insurance. He said so direction was needed from the state to do that. And so then I had somebody else say, well, you know, we've got workman's comp that should cover firefighters in case they got cancer. Well, being able to go through all that process and make a claim is going to take a long time, and a firefighter could die, and that would leave that firefighter's family struggling. I think it's important to put your opinions aside and support local people in this, and so I would have voted yes for that firefighter's insurance. That's just my opinion on that. It's like his opinion. We just disagree.
I would like to ask some quick issue questions for the voters. Would you like us to respond? One more response, and then we'll
I'd like to respond to that. You know, when that bill came up, I knew this was going to be a bill that's going to be used against me because it really is counterintuitive to public perception. And a lot of bills are like this. You know, when I called every single fire chief in the district, and they all agree with me that it was the right thing to do. Now, some of them have changed their tune now, and I don't know why that is, and I've gotten behind you, I believe. But I was speaking to Norman Alexander yesterday, who's the fire chief of White County. He actually, even though I have the smallest portion of White County, it is the largest district per population. And he actually asked me if Governor Deal would veto this bill, because it is a tax increase upon counties and cities, and there's no reason why they cannot go to their local commissioners and get this done and advocate for that local control of the state coming in. Like I said, it was used as a political tool by the leadership to say that what they've done is great things, to be able to use it as a campaign, campaign slogan, whatever it may be for them to do. But not everybody agrees with this. You know, in Rabun County, it was some $50,000 had to be added to the budget for this. And like I said, it does hurt rural counties for this issue. It really should have been a local issue and never should have been a state issue. But it was an emotional issue, and it said you cannot vote against it because you'll be seen as you hate firefighters or you this or that. That's totally untrue. I support firefighters 100%. This should be a state issue, though. This should be a local issue, not a state issue.
Okay, let's move on to.
Can I respond?
I appreciate we move on in the effort of the time we have here. Let's move on to assume both of you will have 1 minute for these questions.
Sure.
These questions, you'll both have 1 minute to respond, and they're pretty much some issue questions that I want to make sure we get to. Second Amendment, it's very important right now. There's a lot of discussion. Second Amendment's always important to a lot of people, but the Second Amendment is something that is in the conversation every day concerning things that have taken place, whether it's school shooting or whatever it may be. We'll start with Mr. Gertler. You'll have 1 minute. How strong are your beliefs in the Second Amendment? And if a bill would come up on the floor that would allow for constitutional carry, would you support it? You will have the same question,
right.
So 1 minute.
Well, if constitutional carry came up for a vote, I would vote for it. It's my bill, House Bill 156. You know, this basically with the Constitution, and I'm a constitutionalist, I'm a constitutional conservative. You know, when I look at the Second Amendment, I believe that shall not be infringed is a no compromise statement. And House Bill 156 basically, this will allow law-abiding citizens to be able to open and concealed carry in the state of Georgia without having to get the Georgia weapons license. Now, if you want to get the Georgia weapons license, go ahead and do that. I would encourage that. You know, I have one. I'm also an NRA pistol instructor, and I want reciprocity with other states. But when it comes to our gun rights, when it comes to our constitutional rights, when it comes to our religious freedom right, you know, we should never compromise on those values and those principles. I think that while we have big government now, while we have these infringements, especially upon First Amendment rights in the college campuses and things like that, it's because people are compromising on those fundamental rights that so many died for to start this country.
Mr. Cummings, same question. Do you need me to repeat it?
No, I think any erosion to the Second Amendment would weaken people across America and weaken the country. I believe it's important to not only fight for the Second Amendment, but to expand gun rights if possible, like the being able to carry a gun across the country if you're traveling in your vehicle. You ought to be able to do that, I think. So any erosion of Second Amendment rights, concealed weapon carry, I would be in favor of that as well.
Okay, let's move on to our next issue, pro-life. And we'll start this time with you, Mr. Cummings, and back to you. 1 minute. Yes.
Can I go back to no?
No.
Okay.
You know I want to, because you know how I am, so I would go back, but not right now. Pro-life. I want to get these in, and maybe at the end if you want to go back. Pro-life, and we'll start with you, Mr. Cummings. Explain your position as far as whether you're pro-life or not, pro-choice, and if pro-life, the governor of Iowa and the governor of Mississippi have just recently, in their last legislative sessions, signed a bill called the Heartbeat Bill. And if pro-life, would you sign a bill, would you vote yes on a bill that was considered the Heartbeat Bill? Just so you understand, for those out there, is that the minute the doctor could tell the heart was beating, it would then be considered a life, and that you would not be able to seek an abortion. So being that, 1 minute, how do you feel about that?
I am pro-life. I believe that God created men, and only God should have the right to take lives from men. And I would support the Heartbeat Bill, yes.
Okay, Mr. Gertler?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I believe life begins at conception. All life is precious and it's a gift from God. I'm the only candidate endorsed by Georgia Right to Life. There was a bill introduced, the Life at Conception Act, a few years back by Representative Sherry Gilligan. And we can't even get that through the House, through committee and even to a House vote. And I think that's the epitome of why principles matter, and why can we not get that through the House to a vote when Republicans are supposed to be pro-life? And we have control of the House, the Senate, and the leadership, but we have never been able to do that. Why have we just now gotten a income tax reduction when Republicans have been in control for over a decade in Georgia? So those are just some examples why this matters. Why can I get House Bill 156 constitutional carry through? That's a Republican bill. I have the support in the House to pass this bill. That's why it's sometimes necessary to call out leaders that are not doing it in what's in the best interest of the people, especially if they're violating their own principles and the principles of the party.
Okay, we're going to go, Mr. Gertler, you're first, 1 minute. And we do have a couple more questions, so if nobody has to rush out of here right at 10 o'clock, can we stick around just a minute?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll keep going here for just a minute. You will start 1 minute. Religious freedom, and recently where I'm going with this is the past several sessions, you've not been able to get a religious liberty, freedom, a RFRA bill to the governor's desk that one hasn't been vetoed or that to pass one. Let's put it like that. This past session there was reform in the adoption laws. Georgia finally did make some major reforms in the adoption laws. Oklahoma governor just recently signed, last Friday, what their version is Keeping Faith in Adoption and Foster Care Act, meaning that there would be protections for faith-based organizations that chose not to adopt or place children in the foster care of same-sex couples. That failed. SB 375, Keeping Faith in Adoption and Foster Care, failed in Georgia. Many say it would ban, adoptions for same-sex couples. But actually, it just protects the faith-based, and it does not change the law in allowing them. Am I correct?
I believe so.
Okay, that being said, we'll start with you, Mr. Gertler. Religious freedom, what kind of religious freedom bill do you think the state of Georgia should put on the floor, should put on the next governor's desk, and do you support Keeping Faith in Adoption and Foster Care Act?
Right. Well, this country is founded upon, pilgrims coming here to escape religious persecution from England. So this is a foundational part of our country for people to be able to freely worship who they like. And with the RFRA legislation that was vetoed by Governor Deal, I did not agree with that. I've talked to many, many constituents up in the 8th District and said that was, they did not agree with it whatsoever, and really what Governor Deal was doing was kowtowing to the big companies and businesses, which really is the agenda of the leadership there, to put through these bills that give tax breaks to yacht owners and data centers and music producers and whatever it may be, while we increase taxes on gasoline, and then we also increase taxes on hunting and fishing licensing. So you can kind of see what's happening there. Well, with religious freedom, though, this is the same governor as well. Let's go back to that. That is supporting my opponent as well. That is why principles matter. He never should have vetoed that legislation whatsoever. And what we have to do is bring principles back into politics again, and it's the only way we're going to achieve true prosperity.
Mr. Cummings?
I believe in the religious freedom bill as well, and I disagree with that veto. I think it's very important that people in the 8th District and all Americans, their morals and their religious beliefs should not be violated for example, and put children in same-sex couples' homes. There's a reason that people believe that. It's biblically presented, and the reason that people believe that is because God said it. And so I agree with that statement, and I think it's very important for us not to be able to be forced into doing something that's against our religious beliefs or our morals.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions, because we are going to close. We're not going to run too long over, but let me ask you a couple questions, and I'd like to ask these direct to the candidates. If you want to respond, you can, but these are going to be direct questions. And Mr. Cummings, first off, I'm sitting here, and you're retired UGA extension officer, and you've worked an extensive career with the 4-H and managing the farmers market and Blue Ridge EMC. Why at this time? I'm asking the question. I'm the voter in the 8th. Why at this time are you interested in going to the House of Representatives and taking on this? I mean, life must be comfortable now. It must not be something you have to push yourself to go to Atlanta. Explain to me, the voter, why you have a passion to go do this now in your life.
I think it's important for people at any stage in life, and I'll be 60 years old in September, but at any stage in life, it's important for people to be willing to give back to the community. And people in my community have been very good to me. I've worked with people over the years, and they trust me, and I trust them. And I think that people need a good legislator that will represent their values, represent them, and serve them with a servant's heart. That means putting their needs ahead of my needs. And so people have asked me to do that. I think it's important for me to do that, and that's the way that I would approach serving in Atlanta.
Mr. Gutler, I'm going to ask him another question, and then I just want you to follow up on it. You're chairman of the Blue Ridge EMC. What exactly are those duties of the chairman of the Blue Ridge EMC? What do you see in that position that you can take to Atlanta and be of help to the district? And would you have voted yes on the rural broadband bill? And do you think it's good because Blue Ridge EMC handles internet? Just go into a little details on that.
Well, I've been serving on Blue Ridge EMC for about 2.5 years at this point. While we served there, we had a lot of different things that we tried to do. As chairman of the EMC, I sit on both committees, both policy committee as well as finance committee. We look at things like budget. We try to change our policies to fit our particular situation at this time. We also offer up things to our members in terms of policy that needs to be adopted, and let our members, things in Constitution and bylaws, voting and that sort of thing, trying to offer changes to them. Yes, I would have voted for rural broadband. I've been working with Senator Gooch for a couple of years now, trying to hopefully see some legislation that would be introduced that would pass. we need clarity with our EMC and clarity across the state that would allow the EMC to participate in a broadband program, and right now we simply don't have that clarity. So all we were asking for is for the legislature to provide clarity. We weren't asking for money or anything like that. We just wanted to be able to compete. And the reason it's important is that broadband, I think, is not only important to our members and our homeowners, but it's important for businesses within Union County. There are a lot of people that would like to come up here and start businesses, but where their house is located or their particular business, they may not have access to broadband. So what we wanted was clarity to be able to do that and to be able to compete with those other institutions that are out there, and we simply want the same thing in Union County, Towns County, Raven County, and part of White County as Metro Atlanta has.
Mr. Gertler, I'm going to give you plenty of time to respond. Now, the reason I wanted to go into that because he is the chairman of the Blue Ridge EMC, and Blue Ridge EMC does provide internet in that area. Your district, District 8, is a rural district in Georgia, considered a rural district. You voted no on what's considered the internet, rural broadband internet bill, correct?
That's right.
Could you go into some detail on why you voted no for that?
Right. Now, as Republicans, we're supposed to believe in the free market. Now, we have had bad business practices happening with these companies like Windstream. That's the biggest complaint I get with constituents is things like that. We've given them hundreds of millions of dollars, of federal money. Now, the solution now is not to give them more money, and that's what this bill is going to do, is basically subsidize these businesses and interfere in the free market, which goes against Republican principles and really is not a long-term solution. That's why I had to vote against it. The only way we're going to have really good broadband and internet services up into the rural districts of Georgia if we have more competition. That's the only way I believe that we're actually going to do that.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Mr. Goodler. You guys still good? Mm-hmm. You got anywhere you got to be? All right, let's keep going. You want to keep going?
Sure.
Okay, let's go back to the no votes for just a minute. Okay. Now, again, just being redundant in our first half of the interview, you voted 74 times no. Again, 20 of those, you're the only no vote, like 167 to 1, 173 to 1. I read every one of your no votes. I'm just different, okay? So I went last night and I read every single no vote you cast to see if I could get an understanding myself. Did you, when you were the only representative and you read these bills and it didn't meet the testing, the criteria that you put out in front of you to vote yes, did you go to offer an amendment on the bill that would allow you personally, by principle, to cast that last vote? How many times did you go to the well of the House to discuss those bills on why you couldn't vote as the lone person? I mean, did you offer amendments or anything?
Yeah, I actually offered an amendment to the biggest one. I got a big example is the budget, the amended budget. I was trying to get back money and to pay off debts because it was going to the Georgia One Authority, which is a slush fund for subsidies. That was probably the biggest one. I think people told me I was the only one to do that in probably over a decade, when it comes to that. Of course, building those relationships when you first come in as a freshman, I've known people before when I was an aide, but I wasn't the guy pushing the button, so it's a lot different. So I went to every author I could. I went to every committee that I could go to and offered solutions to those things because I wanted to know, to make those chairmen know and those representatives know why I was voting against their bill or why I was going to vote for it. And that's what you have to do. You have to do network with these individuals to figure out what the best solution is. Of course, you have to do that. Build those relationships. That is what is key and important to do to be an effective representative. And by leading by example, like I said before, I might have been the only guy that voted no. But like I said before, when it would come back from the Senate, or that bill might have died and came back the next year, we'd have exponentially a number of no votes that would go along with me that time. And I would say, why? What changed with the bill? But nothing changed with the bill. People got more courage to stand up and say, you know what? I believe the same thing he's doing too. I have more courage to do it now because he's the one that broke the ice.
Well, working with others, and let me go into that if you don't mind. I want to stay with that just for a second because, when you vote no on these bills, let me ask you, in your first 2 years, have you had any, I've read some of your pre-filings, have you had any bills come to the floor, voted on, get to committee? Have you had anything passed in 2 years?
I have not had anything passed. I've had a few hearings on these bills. These are great Republican bills, but that's the epitome of what we're facing at the Capitol. Small government politicians like myself, which I'm the most conservative member, can't get things passed down there. But it's not necessarily about getting things passed if you're not getting the right things passed. And so I've seen a lot of things get passed by Republicans that are just not simply in the best interest of Georgians. And if you look at all the tax credits, you look at all the corporate welfare, those types of things, are not what the proper role of government is. We're supposed to protect life, liberty, and property, and let the free market work. So it's definitely hard if you're up against a corrupt system and you cannot get your bills heard, and get them heard, but you can't get them passed. But I know I have the votes by talking to the members. But everybody's in fear because right at the Capitol right now, it really is. It's a top-down approach. It is not really a representative type of government inside of the Capitol if you cannot get your voice heard. But I have a voice in the vote, but I can't get anything passed right now because the leadership needs to change. And that's what I said 2 months ago, that something's got to change. And election caucuses are coming up here pretty soon, and I think that there's going to be a change.
Okay, Mr. Cummings, on that, Mr. Gutler, several things in his answer there to my question, but one, he has not gotten any bills to the floor and anything voted on. What say you concerning this district not having any bills on the floor for the last 2 years?
I just think it's very important for a person to go to Atlanta and work within committees to get things done. To me, that's how you build bridges, that's how you build consensus, is working within those committees to get things accomplished. I don't know what caused these issues with Matt and other people down there. All I know is that they're there, and I think what people up here need is a person that can go to Atlanta and get along with people and get things accomplished. At the same time, I think it's very important for me to represent the district and not just be a yes man, but be a person that's willing to work with people and try to get things accomplished for our district. And we have a lot of things that need to be worked on, like this broadband. I think it's very important, and I think it's important for us to go down there and get to work and get results.
Well, people that know me, and I really don't want to insert my personal feelings into a debate. I have heartburn if I use the word compromise. But go ahead, you can respond.
Yeah. Well, with that, that's sort of what I was going towards. This go along, get along crowd is apparently is overwhelmingly evident down there. If I would have gone along to get along, I would have compromised my values, I would have compromised my district, I would have compromised what I ran my campaign on, just limited government conservative principles. Now, the compromising, of course you can compromise on policy. We should be debating those ideas. What I've seen at the Capitol is not enough people debating, not enough people standing out. Everybody's sort of staying quiet, everybody not getting up and speaking out. Not voting no because it's more convenient. Believe me, it would have been a lot easier if I would have voted yes to every bill like a lot of my freshman colleagues did when they came in. And what you have to do is you cannot compromise on those core values. Life, liberty, and property. It doesn't increase the size, the scope, and intrusiveness of government. Is it constitutional? And our government's gotten so big on the federal level, it's gotten big on the state level, because people are compromising those core values, trading votes with each other in order to get things done. If they're getting the wrong things done, like I said, then it's not good. It's not a good aspect to do that.
I understand what you're saying, but where I said compromise, let me just ask this. Tell the citizens of the 8th District, hey, this is what I've accomplished for my district, our district. This is what I accomplished for our district in the last 2 years, and this is why you should stick with me. And I'd like to follow that up with something else.
Right. Well, just by breaking the ice, by leading by example, by getting out there and standing on the principles of the party that you're supposed to be doing and being the conscience of the party, because that's what I'm known for, is being the conscience of the party. My colleagues around me have gotten more courage, and that's why we have passed things like the income tax reduction, things like that. Because true conservatives are standing up and speaking out, And, you know, when I got down there, I was alone. It was really hard the first time. But like I said, the exponential amount of votes, people coming to my side saying, you know what, we can question the process. We don't have to live like this in the House. You know, why do we have to live in fear in the House? And that's exactly what the culture of the Capitol, like Senator Josh McCune said, is sick and twisted. And this was last year, and I've got to go to the brute force of that, because if you do stand on principles that I ran my campaign on, that principles of this district, this is the most conservative district in Georgia. I'm the most conservative representative in Georgia. I'm right in line with the principles of this district and our people up here, and I know it. I went to 7,000 doors last election. I went to over 2,000 doors this election. It's a lot shorter cycle. And the thing I hear people say to me, do what's right all the time. And that's what I'm doing. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And that's what we have to do every time.
So, but when I guess what I'm saying is when you're down there and you're voting no, and you're the only one that votes no, when you have bills that you can't get to the floor, if people are used to reading bills, you see the sponsored names on the top. And how is it, and not saying this is the correct process, but it's just what we're dealt at this time at the Capitol, how is it that if you're sitting there and you sponsored a bill and your name is the sponsor and you got your co-sponsors and you go all the way down there and your fellow Republican is the only no, I mean, how hard is it for you not to get those representatives to come on board with one of yours? So is there anything to the accusations that say, well, you're just not wanting to get along with them at all, and you see no light in any of these bills, and you're just a no guy? I mean, answer that.
Yeah, it's false. You know, I'm one of the nicest guys down at the Capitol. I have great relations with people. I base my decisions off merit and policy of the bill, and I try to talk to every author I can before I vote no. And if somebody voted against my bill, you know, I would, you know, if there was a reason for it, no hard feelings. We should be debating ideas and doing this and that. There's a lot of vanity I've seen at the Capitol where if I may be the only one vote no, these bills all passed. I've never been a deciding vote in these bills. And so if there's some hard feelings with some members, which I haven't seen besides leadership, because leadership really is an oligarchy. I heard you talking this morning about an oligarchy. That's what's the same thing's happening in the Capitol. There's a group of people that control everything and controlled by intimidation and fear. And that's what we're trying to do at the Capitol. The real conservatives like myself and others that are trying to build a coalition. And that's what we're doing. And it's going to take time. It's taken time to get to how big of a government we are now and to this type of ruling that we have now. It's going to take time to reel it back in. But policy, the merits of the bill, that's exactly what I base my votes on. That's what you have to do every time. And that's the only way that you're going to have respect from your colleagues as well. But like I said, there is an oligarchy in Atlanta, and it's just going to be there until we start to do something. And the only way they're going to change that is if you call out the bad policies.
Mr. Cummings, we're going to try to close up here because I could ask questions and talk politics all day. But what I want to ask you is, if elected, how would you plan to stay in touch with the citizens of the 8th District? How would you plan to find out what's most important to the citizens of the 8th District? And not just a group, not just a handful of people. How would you do that?
I think it's important for us. When I was a county agent, one of the things that we did every year, we had something we called program planning. And in the program planning process, what we did is we had committees that represented farmers, different types of farmers, whether they were beef cattle, vegetables, row crops, you name it. We had these different committees that came in and sat down with us and identified issues. And once we identified those issues, we had them prioritize those issues. And once we prioritized the issues, we were able to attack them one at a time and to deal with them one at a time to solve problems related to those issues. So I would envision doing something very similar in every county. I would like to, sit down and talk with people about what's important to them. And deal with those things. And then, during the session, newspaper articles, Facebook posts, those type things are very important. And then after the sessions are over with, town hall meetings are very important to report and once again start gathering information for the next legislative session.
Would you have a way that put out information to the citizens as votes came up during the live session and say, this is the vote, and how do you feel, and here's what I feel, and and get some kind of input from the 8th District citizens before voting on certain things?
Yes, I think that would be very important. You could do it Facebook, you could do it over a website. There's all kinds of means that could be obtained. And through phone calls. I'm accessible to people. They can call me anytime they want, and I try my best to talk to them.
I'm going to ask you the same thing, Mr. Gertler. Not a small group of people pulling and pushing yes and no on their representative. The entire district, how do you stay in touch with them? How will you continue to communicate with them? And do you get them involved in your voting?
Right. No, this is what I ran my campaign on 2 years ago, was being accessible, being transparent. That's why I vote. That's why I explain all my votes on my website, and I have done so for the last 2 years. That's why I've probably written, 30 or more articles, maybe something like that, when I put into the papers every single month. And I also write a weekly article when the sessions are in, and really level with the constituents. And I've heard constituents tell me that no one's ever leveled with them like I have, to tell you what's really going on at the Capitol. You have to be in touch. I give everybody my personal cell phone number, and I've always done that. I also have about 2,000 people on my email list that I collect, and if they want to sign up for my email list, it's mattgertler.com. And that's the only way that we're actually going to change things in Georgia, because I love this country, I love this state, and we've got to get people involved. Voter apathy is terrible. We have great voter turnout up here in the 8th District, actually the highest in Georgia. But you have to lead by example, like I said before. I keep reiterating this, but being in touch with the constituents is a big thing for me. And I've gotten, being accessible, the newspaper articles, the vote explanations, everything like that, I'll continue to do. But of course, people elect you as representative to have a trusted voice. You're not going to be able to go to the district and ask people how you're going to vote on this bill when they're pushing down your throat 80 bills in a day, and you're going to have to make those decisions what's best for you. And those things are hard to do. Of course, it's hard. It's really hard to stand out and do the right thing when you feel like you might be the only one, but in your heart is the right thing to do. So that's what I'll continue to do. And of course, you got to get feedback from your constituents. Of course, you have to do that. You have to listen to their needs and wants and issues. And that's what I've been doing by going door to door. That's the best way to know your constituents, is going door to door. And I've met tens of thousands of people on the campaign trail by going to the door and asking them what's important to them. And I end up an understanding of this district that far surpasses probably most state representatives in the state, because I do put my heart and effort into this.
What if somebody said to you, Mr. Gertler, vote for the budget. Let's get out of Atlanta. Vote for the budget. There is money. You're going to look good. There is money for Rayburn, Towns, Union, and White for schools. There is money for school security for all of those. You could go home, run your election, and come back to a new governor, new governor, new lieutenant governor, different people to work with within these committees, and there's a possibility to get the budget process changed. What say you? Why not look at it that way, maybe?
Well, I don't think it's about being popular. It's about doing the right thing. Like I said, like you said, there's going to be all new leadership coming in. That's fantastic. This is an opportunity for us to actually get some of those things passed, like I'm trying to get passed, and we can get back to a more conservative state. With the budget process, I've been talking to the governor candidates, secretary of state candidates, lieutenant governor candidates, to see how we can do this when we come back in, because a whole new leadership is going to be changing. And yeah, of course you have to do this, but it's not about being popular. It's about doing the right thing, and all the time, counterintuitive to public perception. It would have been a lot easier, like I said, to just go down there and go along and get along with everybody and voted yes to every single thing, because that's exactly what my freshmen did, and that's exactly what a lot of people do down there. I think the no vote rate was about 5%, right? And that is the epitome of a yes man. You're voting 95% to every single piece of legislation that comes up. There's almost 500 pieces of legislation that came up these last couple of years, and not all of those were good at it whatsoever, or the best interest of people, and they were being pushed by Republicans. That's what was so alarming to me when I was an aide, to see that. So like I said, you just got to have somebody down there and to stand up for our values and our beliefs, and that's what I'm doing. And that's why I have a reputation for being the conscience of the party.
Once again, Mr. Cummings, I've asked him several times, and I've said close several times also, but I've asked him several times, And just for our audience out there this morning, because Mr. Gutler does have a voting record, obviously as the incumbent, there's a lot more information to work with there. But what bills would you stand up against? For example, in rural Georgia, people are concerned with what's called two Georgias. And would you have voted no on the transportation bill that created a new transportation committee of 13 counties, would take 13 counties and turn them into a new transportation committee? Would you have voted no on that? Many rural representatives do oppose the Atlanta transportation bills. How do you feel about that one?
I think that there were a lot of people up here that opposed that because it provided a lot more money for Metro Atlanta than it did the rest of the state, and I probably would have opposed it as well.
Well, I know your answer is very short, but once again, you would not go and be a yes man for the people that contribute to your campaign, because it is black and white who's contribute.
No.
And lobbyists?
No. I'm going to be a representative of the people of the 8th District, and that's how I would vote. I think it's very important this year. There were a couple of bills that come across that I liked. I assume that you voted for these. I don't know, but the tax cut this year and the doubling of the standard deduction, I think that's important. This House Bill 973 about holding lobbyists accountable to make sure they understand sexual harassment, I would have voted for that. And adoption reform, I think y'all talked about that earlier. I would have voted for that as well. So there's lots of things that I would vote for. I think he and I agree on some of those things. But I'm not going down there to be a yes man to the governor, to the Speaker of the House, or whoever. I'm going to vote the way the people of the 8th District would want me to vote.
Mr. Gertler, I have put a lot of, for our audience, pressure on you to answer for the no votes. And I want to say how much I appreciate your openness to let me keep coming with those, because I wanted you to have the opportunity this morning to say as much as you can of when some people are saying you can't get along and that you're obstructing certain things from happening at the Capitol. What your opinion to that is, you know, the articles that have been written. So I want to thank you for that. I have one no vote question for you.
Okay.
I read all of them. I don't know why I did. And I tried to understand your no vote for so many. And I will say, several I did understand your no vote. But the one where it's a simple one-page bill that wants to turn Georgia State Patrol cars into a uniform color, uniform lettering, uniform lighting, you voted no, and 170 representatives voted yes. And
right.
Those are the kind of votes that I'm trying to get my head around
right.
of why you say no.
I think someone else went with me on that one. I don't think I was alone on that one. It might have been. But our public servants, with police cars, if you see in Europe too, they have reflectors on them. You want them to be visible. You want people to be accessible to them. And I just think that was very transparent. And I think that's the bill you're talking about, where it made it, very, unrecognizable, almost like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a undercover cop, maybe something like that. So I think that with those public servants like that, they should be invisible, and especially to help people in emergencies and things like that. And European countries also do that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, we're going to wrap up here because I could keep these gentlemen. I have probably another 2 hours worth of information and could do this for a long time. We have gone 30 minutes over the allotted time, the 1 hour. So I want to thank both of these gentlemen for their time. It's now time for their closing statements. And Mr. Matt Gutler, the incumbent here in the 8th District, has 2 minutes to close.
Well, thank you for having me, Brian. Really appreciate that, and an opportunity to come and talk to you. I love this country, I love this state, and I'll continue to represent the most conservative district in Georgia, and I'll continue to be probably the most conservative representative in Georgia as well, by upholding our principles and our values. Right is right and wrong is wrong. I was taught that, and I think a lot of people in our district were. We have good Christian values up here. We have to stand strong, though. The only way that we're going to change things is for people to stand up like I've been doing myself and to oppose things that are not in the best interest of all Georgians, oppose things like subsidies and corporate welfare and tax increases. I never voted for a tax increase in 2 years, and I'll continue to lead by example down there at the Capitol and represent our values. A lot of what goes on at the Capitol nowadays, it's just a lot of backhand room deals. You see all these things in D.C. The same thing's happening in Atlanta. It's a swamp down there too. We have got to bring principles back into politics, and that's the only way we're going to achieve really true prosperity and really, those values and principles that we really want to see in government. You always say that politicians, there's like in politics, there's a moral vacuum. It doesn't have to be that way, and the only way we're going to do that is for people to stand up, to speak out, to do those types of things. And we're building a coalition right now in Georgia. There's a great things going to be happening, big conservative push is going to be happening, and we have a new change in leadership coming this coming cycle, this first time in about a generation. So this is a great opportunity for conservative leaders to really get up in there and start to do the right thing for the right reasons and take our state back to what it should be, to a Republican state that leads by example, that has the best interest for the liberties and principles of the people. And that's what I'll continue to do as your state representative, and I'll be honored to have your support once again on May 22nd. There's about 7 days left, so I really appreciate this opportunity, and thank you so much.
Mr. Cummings, 2 minutes to close, please.
I chose to run for State House District 8 because of my love for this community and our mountains. We're blessed here in the North Georgia mountains, but unfortunately we're being isolated because of the lack of leadership in the State House. Because of my opponent's actions, our area is not getting the attention that we need. Road projects have been delayed in the district, funding has been lost, and we continue to be left out. That has to change. I served our community over the years, and in every role I've had, I provided leadership, worked with others, built bridges, and obtained results. I did this when starting the farmers market, which led to a $1 million a year impact in the surrounding areas. I did the same at the Blue Ridge Mountain EMC, where we conservatively manage a multi-million-dollar budget, restored trust, improved transparency, and improved morale of our employees. I'm ready to take that record to the State House to be your bold, effective, conservative voice that will work hard to get the job done for our families. If elected, I will work every day to attract new jobs in industry, protect taxpayers, safeguard our God-given constitutional rights, back public safety, support our local schools, students, and teachers, and expand broadband access. I humbly ask for your vote on next Tuesday in the Republican primary, May the 22nd. Thank you.
Gentlemen from FetcherNews.com, we thank both of you. We wish you well in your campaigns, and we thank both of you for your willingness to serve the 8th District. Thank you very much. Again, I'm your host, BKP, and this has been the Georgia House seat 8th District debate with the incumbent Matthew Gertler and the opponent Mickey Cummings. And again, Tuesday, don't forget, get out and vote Tuesday for the candidate of your choice. Thank you.